Kelly alluded to this earlier, crucial conversations where the stakes are high, there's opposing views, and the emotions might be strong. So these are the toughest kinds of conversations that we need to have. So we thought we'd focus on this today. So this is the opening statement. So there's 7 components, as you can see there. Name the issue, select an example, as someone said in the chat earlier. It's great to have examples. Do your research, do your homework. Describe your emotions about this issue. That's an interesting one. Why do you think that might be useful, and how would we go about explaining or describing our emotions? Someone might want to come off mute or pop in the chat.
I think I feel it's easy to talk about how it made you feel rather than letting the frustration come out in
Yeah,
anger or frustration.
yeah,
Saying, hey, when you did this thing, this is how it made me feel because it can help with the magnitude of the conversation.
yeah. Thanks, Cam. Exactly. And we try and avoid, and I know you weren't in the conversation itself, but the way we talk about that is I feel or I felt as a result, knowing that no one can make you feel anything, right? So it's I feel or I felt, not you made me feel, which then kind of blames the other person. My kids always, when they were younger, just celebrated the twins, well, 3 kids' birthdays in a week, but when they were younger, I used to say, oh, I'm really angry with you, Daddy. You made me angry. And I say, well, I can't make you feel anything. That's your choice. And of course, they'd get more angry based on that. As they've grown up, they've kind of realized the power of that. Clarify what's at stake. Identify your contribution to this problem. It says optional there, but I think it's really great if we can think about what is my contribution to the scenario. So it might be, hey, I think in hindsight, I could have been clearer about X or my expectations or what have you. So it also demonstrates ownership. It demonstrates that this is, takes two to tango kind of thing. There's one time when we wouldn't talk about that, and that's if you're right at the performance management end. You wouldn't say, well, I'm sorry, we're here. And most likely your performance is poor because I'm a crap manager. We wouldn't say that if it's at that end, but if we're giving feedback, then it's entirely appropriate to at least own your part. Indicate your wish to resolve the issue and invite your partner to respond. So it's a really brilliant framework. And the thing about it is that that first 5 steps or 7 is done within 60 seconds. So it's brief, it forces us to be clear, and it forces us to be succinct. A number of times I see people kind of, rabbit on and they're talking, 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 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And okay, what's the point? What are you actually trying to say here? So in 60 seconds, you have to be super clear. Thoughts on that before I run through an example? Does that resonate with people? Not sure about it?
I think it's good. Like you said, some people out of nervousness go on about things that,
Mm.
and you go into your comfort zone. So to keep it succinct like that, I think is a good framework. Oh,
Yeah, and it
absolutely.
kind of forces us to
Yes.
be really clear, doesn't it, Kim?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So a really quick example, in my last corporate role, which is a while ago now, working for a global company, the head of the Asia Pacific region phoned me. He said, "Hey Phil, we've got 2,000 people I want to run through training XYZ." I said, "No worries, I'll get someone from my team to call you and have a deeper conversation about, needs analysis and what have you." Elma rang me 4 weeks later to say, "Hey, no one from your team has had a conversation with me. We're talking to another provider." Now, we were an internal provider, but we, obviously we still wanted to do the work and work in the region. So I called in uh, Sonia. I said, "Hey, Sonia, just had a conversation with Elmer, who said no one from our team has phoned him. And he said that they're now talking to another provider. I feel really disappointed that this has occurred and we may lose that work as a result." I probably should have followed up, not probably, I should have followed up to make sure that that was happening and checked in on progress. So I'm keen to understand what happened and what is your perspective. So what did you notice about that? I didn't time it, but I know that was well and truly less than 60 seconds. But you can critique me, but it's more about the framework. What worked, what didn't work, what did you like, what aren't you sure about? So please unmute or pop a comment in the chat.
You didn't assume that someone had done the wrong thing. You were curious about what happened and you showed your own vulnerability in ways you could have done it better as well.
Great. Perfect. Thanks, Alex. Hopefully that, yeah, did come across and it was true. Remain calm, neutral, and deliver the message. Thanks, Kim. Short but very clear on why the conversation was needed. Excellent. Um, it was true that actually what had happened, Sonia had spoken to someone else in Alma's team, and so she hadn't dropped the ball at all. And so it was good that I didn't go in with a kind of a blamey, persona, if you like, and it was more one of curiosity. The other thing I didn't do is say you. And again, it's just one of those one percenters in terms of decreasing the tone of blame. So if I'd said, "Hey, you didn't, contact Elma about the training," I said, "No one from our team has contacted Elma about the training, to my knowledge." So 7 steps, 60 seconds. And then, of course, as it says there, interaction and resolution. A great conversation is just a conversation. It's just a chat if nothing actually happens as a result. So what's the clear actions and commitments that we're signing up to as a result? So the conversation could be an hour long, but the starting point of the conversation is critical. It's like those high divers, the people who dive off cliffs. If they get the first part wrong, the end part's really painful. Same as conversations, we start with confidence, we start clearly, and we're setting ourselves up and the other person for success.